Hi everyone! Welcome back to ABC Library, a channel that shares knowledge and encourages holistic self-development through good books. Do you know Mark Twain, the great American literary master? He was also a businessman, a venture investor, and a man known as one of the world's most famous humorous novelists. Yet there was a period in his life when he was deeply depressed and mentally worn down by serious illness, lying in bed. And then, when he happened to open a certain book, he became as excited as a child. Mark Twain read it in one breath, absorbed, tireless, forgetting food and sleep. This book was not a masterpiece about some great historical figure, but a novel about the coming-of-age experiences of an 11-year-old girl named Anne. And that book was Anne of Green Gables. Anne, with her red hair and face full of freckles, is a little girl orphaned of both parents, living a poor and destitute life. Yet despite the cruelty of fate, she can still become the happiest person in the world, like a little sun, lighting herself and warming others as well. She has inspired countless readers across many later generations. If you feel that life is too dull, then read this book, and you will understand that there are reasons why you have become so boring. A writer once said, "A person may at times be ignorant, but must never be dull." It can be said that the most important thing in a person's life is to live interestingly. Why live a life as dull as a stretch of desert grass for decades on end? Truly interesting people possess an extremely powerful inner strength. Even when their eyes are full of sorrow, they can still part the fog and find poetry and distance within it. No matter how many ups and downs they face, they can still sing. Even when they grow old, they can still smile and say, "I'm not afraid of aging. When I grow old, I must still remain lovely." Can you feel it? The power of being interesting. Scientists are often stunned when they observe celestial bodies, wormholes, and particles in the universe. The world seen through a telescope or a microscope is often incredibly wondrous. For example, many people assume that every drop of water is just like any other. But scientists have seen that inside each drop of water there is a pattern, and every one of those patterns is unique. From this point of view, even the Creator seems wonderfully interesting. Everything in the universe already carries its own kind of fascination, and we ourselves are no different. And yet how have we been living, such that so many people have lost or failed to develop that inherent interestingness within themselves? There may be hundreds of thousands of beautiful appearances in this world, but truly interesting souls are exceedingly rare. In truth, there are far too few interesting souls in this world. To put it more plainly, to live interestingly is a rare ability among modern people today. According to the author, Anne's process of growing up at Green Gables is a healing story. In that story, there are no villains, only eccentric people. No ugliness, only strangeness. You may worry that a story without conflict or dramatic confrontation would be boring, but on the contrary, its beauty will make you not want to stop reading. After finishing this book, you will feel that the hardships, pain, and dullness in your own life can all be changed and healed by an interesting soul. No matter what life is like, your task is simply this: be interesting. Everything else has already been arranged. Now, please listen to Better Version's reflection entitled, "An Interesting Soul Can Heal Everything," through the novel Anne of Green Gables by the famous writer Lucy Maud Montgomery. An interesting life. One half of it must be mountains, rivers, lakes, and seas. On Prince Edward Island, there lived two strange old people, Marilla and Matthew, at Green Gables. They were a brother and sister who had never married, had no children, and lived withdrawn and distant from others. For the two of them, life at Green Gables was like the stagnant pool near the house, quiet in the same way for decades. Day after day, Marilla was always busy with nothing but firewood, oil, fish sauce, and salt. For more than 60 years, she had never stepped beyond that place. Every day she ate at the same hour, slept at the same hour, wove cloth, sewed clothes, tended livestock and sheep, had no hobbies, and no friends to talk to. Then there was Anne, the orphan girl brought from the asylum to be adopted there. The moment she arrived, she was immediately enchanted by the scenery of Green Gables. But Marilla warned her, "Don't look at those useless things." The cherry tree in the yard bloomed white as snow, and Anne excitedly called it the Snow Queen. But Marilla replied irritably that the fruit from that tree was small and sour, and that it attracted too many bugs. In truth, life is a mirror reflecting your own face back to you. If you are dull, life will be dull. If you spend your whole life busy only with the most basic survival, then in the end, you will neglect yourself. An interesting soul is a soul that, even in its darkest state, can still keep its sense of wonder toward life, discover the interesting things the universe has already created, and then enjoy them. Anne, a girl abandoned again and again by fate. Her parents died when she was 3. She was taken in out of pity by Mr. and Mrs. Thomas, but then abandoned again in the countryside. She was rescued from starvation by the kind Mrs. Hammond. She worked hard and capably among Mrs. Hammond's 8 children, and yet in the end was still sent away to the orphanage. When she joyfully learned that the siblings at Green Gables had adopted her, she had scarcely arrived before she was almost sent away again, simply because she was an ugly red-haired girl. They had wanted a boy, and because the intermediary had mixed up the message, she had been sent there by mistake. But even when she knew that she would have to return to the orphanage the next day, Anne still allowed herself to enjoy her happiness. Enchanted by the scenery there, she sat by the window looking at the birch tree for a while, then gazed at the hill, then at the little stream off in the distance, gave the cherry tree a lovely name, and talked to it. Anne said, "If you are determined to enjoy yourself, you can always enjoy yourself. You will see that there are many people like Marilla in real life, but very few people like Anne, who carry an interesting soul and love and delight in nature. Most of us are caught in the cycle of life, worrying only about 3 meals a day, and so we are endlessly pushed forward by a social script already written for us. Go to school, graduate, get a job, get married, have children, send the children to school, stay home to help raise grandchildren, and then die. We spend decades busy with only the most basic level of life. We think we have lived fully, but in truth we have only lived halfway, because the greater remaining half the poetry of life we never really felt. It has been hidden from us by an empty soul trapped inside our outer shell. Back then, I had a friend in my hometown. She used to carry me on a bicycle through the fields. She loved comparing the clouds in the sky to strange shapes. She said that one day she would become a writer. But now, every time I talk to her, all she speaks about are her 2 growing children. How busy work is, how heavy financial pressure has become. When I returned home after many years away studying abroad, and met my old high school friends again, I no longer knew whether it was I who felt out of place in the crowd, or whether they themselves were slowly losing half their lives. Their topics of conversation, their worries, their goals all revolved only around children, spouses, rising property prices, and how expensive vegetables and meat had become at the market. Every time, it was the same. I once shared Anne's story with some newly graduated university students, but the strained expressions on their faces made it obvious that if I had introduced them to a book about getting rich, improving their capabilities, advancing farther, or keeping up with their peers, they would have wanted to read it far more than such a dreamy book that seemed like a children's story. Even when interesting things from nature are right there beside us, people still do not want to look at them, because they think that is romantic, fanciful, silly, a waste of time, abnormal, and unrealistic. If life loses its poetry, it becomes like a blunt knife. Not deadly perhaps, but still enough to wound you. And much later, people suddenly realize that, even without great storms, even after they have achieved material success, reached the goals they wanted, and followed the social script all the way like everyone else, if they have a dull soul, these monotonous days will still destroy them from within. But have you ever thought that the culprit behind all of this might actually be yourself? Close the door of your heart and do not blame the sunlight for not coming in. If you do not immerse yourself in nature and the universe, if you do not notice the poetic beauty in life, then your existence can only remain a barren patch of dry ground. The sociologist Frederick once said, "Pain as well as happiness is only a feeling. It truly lies within the heart." Life becomes boring because you live like an empty shell. An interesting soul will always be able to see rivers, lakes, mountains, and seas, and feel the poetry in this universe, even on dark and stormy days. And no matter how difficult or distorted life may become, those interesting things will in turn come back and heal us. An interesting life. Even if ordinary days never change, imagination must still be allowed to soar. Anne's fate is cruel, but what allows her to transform difficult days into joyful ones? It is imagination. She told Matthew that when she was abandoned again and again and had to live in a terribly desolate place, if one couldn't imagine, one couldn't live. A writer once said that Anne possessed two priceless treasures. One was her sense of wonder toward life, the other was her optimistic imagination. When Anne first arrived at the Avonlea station, she chose to stay outside instead of in the ladies' waiting room, because there was more room for imagination out there. When she saw the street full of white blossoms and the cherry branches drooping over the embankment, she immediately thought of a bride in a lovely wedding dress with a delicate veil. To the siblings, Marilla and Matthew, the scenery around them had become so familiar that it seemed ordinary, but in Anne's eyes, it was as beautiful as fairyland. Anne gave these things beautiful names, such as the Lake of Shining Waters, the White Way of Delight, Lover's Lane, the Birch Path, the Violet Vale, the Snow Queen, the Peaceful Meadow, and so on. Faced with an old dress lacking the slightest charm, Anne could still imagine it however she pleased. Faced with a plain little bedroom, through imagination she could hang silk curtains and spread velvet carpets on the floor, transforming a cold little room into something poetic. For Anne, the imperfect things of everyday life could become perfect through imagination. This kind of self-comforting, self-enchanting ability may seem ridiculous in the eyes of the world, but in Anne's heart, it was the secret to enjoying life. This is much like what Frances's grandmother says in A Tree Grows in Brooklyn. Children must have imagination, and imagination is priceless. However difficult life may later become, they will never be trapped in dull, ordinary days. And yet, sadly, children today are arranged into so many activities by adults. If you ask who is busiest in the world, perhaps it is the children of today. In the morning, they must wake very early to go to school. In the afternoon, they are rushed into all kinds of skill classes and tutoring. At night, they do homework until late. Children no longer have time to develop their natural imagination, and so they grow into the very same dry-souled adults their parents have already become. Anne's imagination not only allows her to remain joyful, optimistic, and mentally healthy, it also heals the people around her. The first of them is Matthew, a famously awkward old man in Avonlea, silent, slow, shy, and afraid to speak to women other than his sister and his aunt. He drove his buggy to the station to pick up a little boy who was to be adopted. But when he arrived, he found only a red-haired little girl waiting there. How could Matthew possibly explain such a mistake? And yet, Anne did not let him remain embarrassed. She chattered away. "I'm so glad to see you. I was beginning to be afraid you weren't coming for me. I was imagining all sorts of things. Just a little while ago, I decided that if you didn't come tonight, I'd go to the bend by the tracks over there, climb up into that big wild cherry tree, and stay there till morning. I wouldn't be afraid at all. Hidden among the blossoms, sleeping under the moonlight, wouldn't that be romantic? Like sleeping in a hall built of marble. And if you didn't come tonight, I was sure you'd come tomorrow." The imagination of this strange little girl truly won Matthew over and made him decide to take her home. With this little bird chattering by his side, in a life once so dull, Matthew's world suddenly became much brighter. As for Marilla, dry, strict, diligent, and difficult at first, when she met Anne, she did not want to adopt her because she felt the girl talked too much. But she too was quickly drawn in by Anne's imagination. When Anne said Mrs., pie looked as ugly as a layer cake. Marilla had to suppress a laugh and found herself amused, because no one had ever spoken to her with such lively, imaginative comparisons. Anne's vivid language began to melt her frozen heart. In Avonlea, those charmed by Anne's heart were almost always children, while those who regarded Anne as strange were the adults. To adults, imagination is something trivial and foolish because it is not practical. They have become too accustomed to cautious, calculating thought and have gradually lost the ability to directly feel the beauty around them. When you read The Little Prince, do you see a hat or a boa constrictor swallowing an elephant? Why is the adult world always so lacking in imagination? Why do adults live so dully? They were once children themselves, with simple desires and pure feelings. But because of their anxieties and helplessness in the pursuit of gain, adults have paid a very high price. So what should we do if we want a life that is a little more interesting? Only by returning to childhood, by thinking with the heart of a child, can many difficult problems become easier to solve. Anne's imagination is the heart of childhood. It causes the adults in Avonlea to begin noticing the beauty they had always overlooked, though it had been right before their eyes every day. And it too begins to return and heal the people in that place. An interesting life chooses gratitude above all things. If imagination is Anne's most remarkable gift, then what gives life to that imagination is precisely her pure heart, her love for others, and her gratitude toward life. Before coming to Green Gables, Anne had already gone through 2 foster homes. We can feel from this that her life in those homes was far from happy. Yet when Marilla asks her about them, Anne speaks without bitterness, full instead of sympathy and gratitude. Anne has eyes that can see beauty. She can grasp hold of joy in life and crush it into medicine for every wounded soul. Because she is grateful for life's gifts, Anne always carefully protects her kindness and tries as hard as possible to forgive every ill intention. Nor does she hesitate to spread her sincerity and warmth to everyone around her. In Avonlea, Anne loves nearly everyone, even those who do not treat her well and who hurt her. She can even give genuine affection to the grass, the trees, and everything around her. In Anne's mind, plants and trees too possess a precious form of life, so she cherishes all the grass, the river, and the trees, treating them as friends. She praises them with the fullest love. Mark Twain once said, "Kindness is a language the blind can feel and the deaf can hear." Anne uses kindness to repay the living things growing from the earth itself, enriching life. And with an energy like spring rain, she causes Avonlea, once a stifling place, to suddenly come alive. At the bend in the road, there will always be the loveliest view. Anne spent 5 years at Green Gables, filling her painful childhood with beautiful memories. Thanks to her diligence, she was admitted to Queen's Academy and awarded a scholarship. At this point, many grown-up readers may begin to think that wonderful things never last, and that a dreamy, interesting life must eventually confront reality. And indeed it does. Matthew, because of his heart condition, dies upon hearing that the bank has failed, and the doctor warns Marilla that she must stop reading and stop doing fine needlework, or she will go blind. This is the first time Anne truly feels the pain of losing a loved one, and also the first time she feels a heavy responsibility resting on her shoulders. But in the end, Anne gives up her scholarship, gives up the chance to attend Redmond College, and chooses instead to become a teacher in Avonlea. She stays at Green Gables to keep Marilla company, read to her, and help with the housework. If going to Redmond had been the straight road of her dreams, then staying in her hometown was a bend in the road, one whose future could not be seen. And yet, in facing that bend, Anne still chose optimism. I don't know what lies around the bend, but I believe that the best view will be there. A person who loves life also loves the bends in the road. This girl, with her interesting soul and resilient heart, understands that no one can avoid the bends that life brings. Like a river in nature, no river runs straight, because on its way forward it always meets obstacles it cannot simply pass through. In life, those immovable obstacles are failures, hardships encountered in the process of growing up, and they are unavoidable. But it is precisely because of such obstacles, like fierce waves, that life becomes more magnificent, and we gain more experiences and better lessons. Anne is an interesting soul, like a rainbow made of many colors. The American writer Mark Twain greatly admired Anne, saying that she was the loveliest and most moving child figure since immortal Alice. When you read this novel, you will feel the beauty of the author's words, but you must remember that behind them lies not merely a brilliant pen, but a love of life and an interesting soul poured into the character herself. What Lucy Maud Montgomery wishes to tell us is this: use kindness to feel the warmth of the world. Use imagination to heal the pessimism in life. Immerse yourself in nature and this universe, and feel it, so that you may fully savor an entire human life. These are the elements that allow you to begin living with an interesting soul. May both you and I become interesting souls, and may every moment of life contain a little poetry and beauty, so that we may light up each chapter of our own lives. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Give me a like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you can catch my newest weekly videos. Once again, thank you all, and see you in the next videos.